Hello, my lovely buddy, welcome. Some messages come to you at just the right time, when your spirit is in between chapters, not lost, not early, simply on time. This is one of them. Dear selected one, God is going to pay you back in ways that you can see, not in nebulous promises or blessings that are far away, but in actual, visible changes, in timing that suddenly works, in serenity that finally lasts, and in results that make sense after years of not knowing what to do. You've been through a lot of giving, trusting, and keeping things together, and God has maintained a full record of everything. Let's be honest, you've taken on obligations that weren't yours. You helped someone, but they thought you had to. You made room for those who only thought of you when they needed a secure place to land. You weren't simply loyal, you stayed calm in the dark, hanging on to your tranquility like money in a storm, while others acted consistently. You lived it, you created your character in the silence, without cheating, without needing anybody else's approval, and without taking the easy way out. And those alternatives didn't go away. They grew up in quiet, like seeds buried deep in the ground, waiting for the appropriate time. That time of year is changing now. If this already hits home, please take a second to like or share it so it may reach those who have been quietly believing for too long. God doesn't keep score as humans do, but He does close books, and yours is finding balance. Now you will see something different, not in what's coming, but in what doesn't stick anymore. The previous attachments don't hold on as tightly. The memories that used to play over and again are now silent, as if they finally received the message. You quit practicing talks that will never happen, and for some reason, that quiet seems like calm, not loss. That's the wonder that no one speaks about. How letting go starts to pull everything that really belongs to you. As soon as you stopped pursuing, alignment began chasing you. When you forgave, there was room for something lighter to come in. Your body can even feel it, breathing deeper, sleeping longer, and not carrying as much stress in the jaw, heart, or while waiting. You don't have to bear everyone else's narrative anymore, so there's finally space for your own. That's when things start to change in life. Not quicker, but smoother, not louder, but clearer. You create room for what's written when you stop dragging what's done. For years, you drank from a cup that never seemed to fill up. That identical cup is ready to spill over now, not because of a miracle that happens out of the blue, but because the balance of divine math always comes back to even. Every time you helped someone and they vanished, every act of generosity that kept you up at night, and every prayer that seemed to go unanswered were all deposits. You simply hadn't seen the receipts yet, but you and I both know that the time between letting go and getting something might seem like it goes on forever. In the seasons in between, time seems to stretch out until you start to wonder whether anything is really moving. But divine timing doesn't work on clocks or calendars. It moves when it's ready, and when you stop asking it questions every hour, it silently reveals itself in ways that answer all the questions you used to scream into the dark. But the time of invisible credit is coming to an end. What you gave in love is returning back to you in a clear way. What you lost in uncertainty is coming back as a guide, and what you did in faith is now taking shape. You can handle it, use it, and count it. When it arrives, you'll know it's from God because it feels so right, not hurried, not loud, not showy, simply in line. And when it comes, be ready for it with firm hands. Don't ask questions. Take it the same way you used to handle pain, quietly and with elegance, understanding that this was always part of the deal. God isn't giving out rewards for being flawless. He's paying for His perseverance. He's addressing the nights when you wanted to give up but didn't. He's balancing what life attempted to take away from Him. So pay attention, because the shifts won't shout. They'll click. Things won't always make noise when they get here. Some things will just fit. And when they do, you'll learn something important. You never thought a miracle would happen. You were waiting for the world to realize what God had already given you. And now it starts. The time of year when all that was lost begins to come back. You may already sense the gentle change within you if you listen carefully. The way your soul doesn't ask for things it doesn't deserve anymore. You recall the initial deal in some way. You were not made to beg for your own life to include you. You always knew that. Even when times were tough, your heart was still sure. Even while your hands were empty. That confidence wasn't cockiness. It was memory. Before the world taught you how to survive by becoming smaller, God wrote a way for you to live by being who you are. Not the edited version or the one that makes you feel good, the genuine one. The one who picked the narrow path and remained. This segment isn't very loud. It doesn't require any extra stuff. It seems like recognition comes without a warning, as when you enter into a room and see that the light is already tuned on your skin. There was no big announcement, just a steady, yes, that made sense. You didn't get here by being better at the game than everyone else. You got here because you wouldn't let yourself become someone your soul couldn't sleep with. You left platforms that desired your skills but not the truth about you. You remained cheap in ego and wealthy in alignment. You allowed calm build up what noise kept getting in the way. That's why this doesn't seem like it came out of nowhere. It feels earned, not by doing well, but by being. You may call it payback, return, or reconciliation. This is what I'll name it. Heaven paying for what it made. Not a pay for a performance, but a vote of confidence in a life. When heaven pays for anything, the money is weird to those who adore acclaim. It appears like favor in everyday areas. Job that doesn't need a costume. Make things easier where they used to be hard. Not a show, but stability. Not hype, but wait. They could attempt to figure out how you did it. What kind of trick? Which sponsor? Which plan? There isn't one. Dear chosen one, not everything comes from technique. They come from taking care of things. You kept your core when it would have been easier to stray. You kept your compassion safe when fury wanted to speak. You were honest with your voice even if the performance may have paid off quicker. Now the environment only reveals the truth about you. Do you remember the evenings when you believed you had missed it? You hadn't. You were being made in a manner that wouldn't let you fall apart later. Like certain stars that don't show up when you want them to. Not because they aren't shining, but because the appropriate circumstances have to be present for them to show up. You weren't hidden. You were waiting for the air to catch up to your sound. And now that it has, the brilliance is clear. Some people thought you were just standing still, yet a deep foundation was being laid that would contain what your name was always supposed to hold. You learned how to breathe without pleading, how to be there without pretending, and how to move without asking for permission to be genuine. Now you are paid to be that person, not the polished costume, but the aligned core. This isn't the type of money that will make you give up your soul for a number. This is money that feels like breathing instead of haggling. It says softly, you're safe now that you stopped selling yourself to get a seat. Let it feel awkward at first, like where tension used to be. You've gotten ready for storms. Calm will feel like a new kind of weather. Let it sit for a while. See how peace begins to speak for you. How repose has a silent power. How your life starts to say what your tongue doesn't need to fight over. And the best part is that you didn't miss any steps. You remained put. You saw other people run while your spirit stayed stagnant. You stopped looking for approval. And God put your name into an inheritance that no algorithm could stop. That's why it doesn't appear like we're finally getting in. It looks like going home. And you don't have to relive the past to show that you're thankful. You don't have to give a speech to individuals who are determined to get your silence wrong. What is authentic will know you. What you needed smaller won't know what to do with you anymore. And that's not your problem. Some individuals will want to know the secret. You won't have a plan with 5 points. You'll get a phrase that says, I stayed when it was quiet, when it was expensive, and when it was easy to turn myself into something easier to eat. I stuck with what was real. That's also a lot of money. Being ability to be honest about your journey without making it seem better. Look at where anxiety used to reside and notice how frequently it goes unfed today if you need confirmation that this change is occurring. See how your yes means yes, without anybody else trying to change it? Notice that you don't audition for rooms that never learned your language. Notice how relief comes right away in the morning instead of having to wait until the weekend to get it. These aren't guarantees for the future. They're hallmarks of the present. And if a part of you is still waiting for the other shoe to drop, bless that part. It made it through a lot. Then gently tell it that this isn't a trick. This is what occurs when a life stops leaking. When love ceases being a currency and becomes nature again. And when attention goes back to what it was given. My dear buddy, you don't need to be magnificent to face what's coming. You simply need to stay grounded. It won't require you to be great, just honest. It won't need a larger mask. It merely needs a stronger root. You have been given the job of taking care of other people's misery. You are now in charge of joy. You've been given broken spots to work on. Now you'll be asked to come to lovely ones. Not to get away from what formed you, but to show that mending doesn't erase the past. It transforms its potency. This season wants you to stand still, tall, and quietly. The light should be the answer. Let the receipt be the peace. Make your normal day a miracle. Food in the home, air in the lungs, work that suits your hands, and a soul that doesn't quiver at its own reflection. You weren't born to run after leftovers. You were created to be able to host a lot of people without losing yourself. To be in a place without being owned. To be seen without becoming a show. This isn't the time for trying. This is the time to get what you need to be who you truly are. Not because you finally figured it out, but because you won't give up your soul for a quick fix. Live it, not louder, but more truthful. Not larger, but deeper. Not in the future, but now. If someone asks what change, you may grin and respond. Nothing loud, just anything that's genuine. If you'd want to stay in this peaceful location a little longer before you go, I've made a space for you to do so. My second channel is called Simplified Serenity. It has worship music that is good for prayer, meditation, and being still. A peaceful place for your heart to relax, breathe, and talk to God. Just touch the playlist on your screen. I'd love to see you there.